Hello, my name is Dwight Hutchison, and I'm the author of several books and articles about the Star of Bethlehem. And in a series of videos, we've been exploring the star, and we've also been looking at some chronology issues concerning the star. And today we're going to continue things concerning chronology, the timing of things. Yeah, in Daniel chapter 9, there is a prophecy which people often term the 70 weeks prophecy or the 77s prophecy. And this concerns things that God indicated concerning the Messiah, concerning the people of Israel and the holy city of Jerusalem. And this prophecy has many aspects to it, and in previous videos we looked at weeks and days and years concerning this prophecy. And I think that the prophecy also is involved with lunar months. And so all these various aspects of time are implicated in the prophecy. Now, this is a much different perspective than most people have concerning the prophecy of the 77s or the 70 weeks. I came about this kind of through the back door. I first noticed some things concerning days and weeks and the numbers 7 times 7 and 62 times 7, which are both indicated in the prophecy. And then I thought, well, I'll just look at things concerning years and see if there's a way that this thing might work out concerning years. And I stumbled on some things there that I wasn't expecting either, which I explored in another video. And today I want to show you something that I discovered immediately after looking at the years, because I said to myself, I said, well, if there are weeks and days involved in this prophecy, and we looked at that in another video, and if there are years involved in the prophecy, then knowing that the Jewish calendar is made up of lunar months and its relationship with solar years, then I thought to myself, well, this must be also related to lunar months. The prophecy of the 77s or the 70 weeks indicates that after 62 sevens, that is 434 years or somethings, that the Messiah would be cut off and have nothing. And I was totally aware of that when I was looking at this prophecy. And so as I began to think about the months, I thought, well, I'll just start with the conception point of Jesus and see where that takes me. And I had a general idea of the conception date of Jesus through the work of some evangelical scholars and also my own ideas. And so I took that date in the late winter, early spring of 3 BC, and I added to that 434 lunar months, which is 62 times 7, and the text says that the Messiah will be cut off and have nothing after 62 times 7. And so I thought, well, let's just see from this conception date until where that would take us if we add in 434 lunar months. And that took me all the way up to early April in 33 AD, which is the date that I think that Jesus died. Now, several years later, I thought, well, what would happen if I back up from the conception date 49 lunar months? because you remember in the prophecy in general, it says that there will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens, okay? And so I thought to myself, well, what about that? What would happen if I back up 7 times 7 lunar months, and where would that take me? And so it took me back to the middle of March in 7 BC, and at that date I found something quite intriguing that I didn't expect at all. I couldn't have calculated this better, in fact. The day that I came to, when I backed up those 49 lunar months from the conception date, was the day of the heliacal rising of Jupiter, which was pretty spectacular for me, because that is one of the key points of the planetary cycle of Jupiter. The planet Jupiter only comes up in the east and is visible for the first time one time every 13 months. And so for this to fall exactly at these dates is just incredible. And myself, I didn't go looking for this at the beginning. I had no idea that it could have taken place. And I just asked myself, like I said one day, I said, well, what would happen if I take this conception date that I seem to have established here, and I go backwards 49 lunar months? Where will that take me? As I've indicated earlier in this entire series, the planet Jupiter was universally recognized in the ancient world, at least in the Middle East and the Mediterranean world, as having something to do with kingship. And so when there is this rising of Jupiter, it is immediately something that the ancient Babylonians would have thought of concerning kingship. And as we looked at in the series of videos, the entire cycle of the planet was implicated in heavenly signs later. It was very clear the signs were associated directly with the planet's cycle, and these signs about kingship, and that included the heliacal rising, that is the first visibility that we just looked at. It also included the 2 stationary points, the rising in the east at sunset, and the setting of the planet in the west as the end part of the cycle. And so here we have the very first part of the cycle that is involved. And here it is, 49 months before the conception date, which was 434 months before the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. Now, in this entire video series about the Messiah star, we have talked about Jupiter as having the name MUL.BABBAR for the Babylonians, which means the white star, and also Sedek in Hebrew, which means righteousness. And so it's just completely appropriate that the star of the Messiah would have the name righteousness, because in the prophecies about the Messiah, he is called the righteous one. And I'll just read you one text from Jeremiah 23. It says, "Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he shall reign as king, and deal wisely, and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land." And the text goes on a little bit further to say, and this is the name by which he will be called, the Lord our righteousness. And so that the Messiah star would have this name is just absolutely normal. And this goes on in the New Testament as well. There is a passage in the book of Acts where it says, it's talking about Ananias, who came to see Paul or Saul after he'd had his experience on the Damascus Road. And Ananias said to him, he said, "The God of our fathers appointed you to know his will, to see the righteous one, and to hear a word from his mouth." And that's exactly what his experience was. He saw the righteous one. And so we need to get it into our heads that early Christians, they thought of Jesus as this righteous king, the descendant of David, the righteous king prophesied by Jeremiah. So in the context of Babylonian astronomy and Jewish ideas concerning the Messiah, this rising of Jupiter is important. Now, another thing that is quite surprising is that on this same day, March 15th and 16th, the same Jewish or Babylonian day that we've been looking at, 49 months before the conception date, there's another event that is taking place in the heavens, which I think is also messianic. But I'm not going to explore that in this video because it would just add another layer of complications. But that is what makes this so convincing for me. The numbers are incredible already, but the fact that there is another event taking place in the heavens that is arguably messianic also really underlines the thing in my mind. And I don't think that the Babylonian Magi probably understood anything about this event on the 15th and 16th of March in 7 BC as being 49 months before the conception of Jesus, or being 483 months before the death of Jesus. But they would have understood that the heliacal rising, the first visibility of Jupiter in the morning sky, is significant as far as kingship goes. Now, there is more about this in at least one of my books, The Lion Led the Way, in the 4th edition. And so I encourage you to look that up on Amazon or on Academia. It's available for download. So I believe that Jesus, the Messiah, was crucified exactly 434 lunar months after his conception, and I believe that he was born probably in early December of 3 BC. All of this is about 532 years after the decree of Cyrus concerning the Jewish people. And I believe that this one who was cut off and supposedly had nothing, I believe that he was raised from the dead and that he's alive right now and that he is the real true master of the universe. And the Lord Jesus. That's what it is, King Jesus. And he has been appointed to reign, and his kingdom shall be established forever. And I invite all who listen to this video to submit their lives to this great King. He is worthy of our allegiance.